Hey you, welcome to the I Feel You podcast presented by Project Feel. I am your host, Eddie Wise, and this is season 2. As most of you may know, we do 2 versions of this podcast. There's audio, so you find that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, everywhere podcasts are found. And we also have very special visual versions on our YouTube. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to our Patreon. You get some pretty cool perks, such as getting these episodes 2 weeks early. So again, thank you so much for watching and enjoy the episode.
Hi, my name is Dana. I'm 26.
Nice. Me too.
Oh, cool. I work in advertising.
Nice.
I'm an art director.
Oh, sick.
But
Let's go.
I'm also in film school part-time.
Part-time film school.
Yes.
Let's go. How long have you been in film school?
It's only been like 6 weeks so far, so it's kind of a new
Congratulations.
thing. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Thank you.
What do you? Well, I guess what's your intention with going to film school now?
I guess I've always had like this gut feeling that I wanted to be a film director or
Nice.
a screenwriter, and so
Nice.
I sort of just decided I wanted to go for it.
Nice.
And it's kind of an extension of what I do at work generally.
Yeah. You said you're an art director.
Yeah, so like cinematography would
Yeah.
be like a similar, and I've worked on some films, so.
Nice. So what? I guess what
Yeah.
is in your current position? What does that entail? Like you know direct art, but I guess for most
Yeah.
people that's kind of
Yeah, no,
You
it's
know?
like, what? Art director? It's sort of, so I'm like a designer, I'd say, so I do
Nice.
branding and like websites and stuff.
Let's go.
But then it's also conceptual design, so
Mhm.
like what's the language behind a campaign and like what's the brand
Nice.
trying to say.
that is awesome. And do you work
So.
for a company?
I do, yeah, like a creative agency.
Nice. That is
Yeah.
really cool.
What do you do?
Well, mostly it's well, I'm the host of this podcast, of course, but then I work with Project Feel. That's the founder over there. And I creative direct for Project Feel. So we do anything from I was a director of photography for a live series of
Oh, cool.
artists. I make music as well.
Nice.
Sing, rap, and I've done cinematography for a little while now. But mostly nowadays it's music, and this is like the podcast is like
Cool.
the other big focus. So I didn't go to school for anything.
Mhm.
I hope to go to school at some point. So thank you for sharing that, because
Well,
it's really
I could
cool.
probably learn some cinematography from you, so.
No, it's like, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like the ways you learn the best is usually by just doing it and being in
Yeah.
the rooms where people are doing it and care about the
For
art,
sure.
you know. And then college is like for the connections and like the book
Yeah.
knowledge, you know, which
Totally
I
agree.
didn't learn to appreciate until I was older, because I went to school for theater,
Oh, nice.
and it was like 3 semesters and I was out.
Then you're done. Yeah.
It's not for me.
Ah.
So I guess how has school been? You only said it's 6 weeks, right? So it's not that long.
Yeah, it hasn't been that long.
But I guess what is the feeling you're getting about it? The initial
yeah, it feels really good. I feel like
Good.
I'm definitely like a very creative person, and
Mhm.
I think for the past 2 years I've been feeling kind of this like emptiness creatively.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited because this has been like, I don't know, I just like always want to work on it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I want to spend my weekends
Yeah.
working on it. I want to be doing it all the time.
Good.
Yeah.
I guess. How often do you do your own projects, like things that you want to do and that you like lead? You know.
I think that's honestly a hard thing for me.
Yeah.
I feel like I need the structure of like someone else or like
Yeah, I feel that. A
either
team,
my
I guess.
company or like
Yeah.
a class to like
Yeah.
give me the assignment.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's a different way to work.
it's a different
Which
way.
it's a great way too, because
Right.
I feel like it's usually more hireable.
I guess so, but then I have trouble self-starting. So
That's fair too. Yeah, I mean, same. Like
Yeah.
I typically, like, the reason I do all of these things, like the reason I was able to direct for that and also do this podcast, is because I
Yeah.
have this team of people behind me that are like pushing it,
Yeah, you need
and
a
they give me
team.
the structure. Like
Yeah.
Christine, the one that you spoke to earlier,
yeah.
she is like the sole reason why this podcast is still alive.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
She's
she got me to do it. And I was like,
organizing, making sure things are going the way that they should, meeting deadlines, stuff like that. So I feel you on the self-starting. I guess talk more about that. What makes it like I guess, hard?
Yeah, I guess I like to do creative work that like has an impact.
Yeah.
And like in the advertising I work with health brands.
Oh, sick.
So
Okay.
I feel like when I was coming up with projects on my own, or even like, oh, maybe I'll start painting, I was really judgmental. Like,
Yeah.
what's the point? Even though there totally is a point. But yeah, I just have this like inner critic. Like,
Same.
yeah.
Are there any things that you do now that help you get past that, or are you still working on like figuring out the methods?
I mean, I feel like this class has helped me a little bit because I'm writing a story, like a fiction story that has, it's not, I mean, I hope it impacts people, but it is a little more like self-involved, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, and that's okay because I'm like learning through that experience, but yeah, I don't know if that
really
makes
cool.
sense.
No, it does make sense. It makes total sense. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
What drew you to? Because usually when we have like a passion, something that we want to do, there's like a feeling behind it. There's something that pushes us towards that. What was the feeling that you had? Like, what made you walk towards like film school and cinematography?
I think I feel like I have a lot of really close relationships in my life, and I went into this class like I know what I want to write about.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just very emotional person too, and I like sort of understanding other people's emotions, and I think like screenwriting and film is just like the ultimate way to showcase stories. So, yeah.
Nice. And I guess what feeling does that give you to be able to like interpret and translate to film?
Like really challenging too, because I am writing, or I'm inspired by people I know, and I do want to share it with them later. So it's like I don't want to write something that they wouldn't be happy with. But yeah,
I feel that, and I feel like that's a little bit of the inner critic that you had
that's
as well.
It.
Like,
yeah,
that's like
it's hard to like free yourself completely.
Same. Yeah. That's what I'm going through now too, because I'm venturing into music, and oftentimes I shoot myself down. I'm like, that wasn't good. Like, don't even bother.
Right.
Pursuing that. Now I'm trying to learn how to like take those feelings and like make genuine decisions. Like if I don't like something, just okay, maybe that wasn't for that moment. Just put it to the side and move forward on something else. And I think there's a value to that, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
It's very hard.
Very difficult. Have I asked you how you've been feeling recently? Did I ask that? I don't think I did.
I've been feeling good mostly.
Yeah? Okay.
I think my family's dealing with some health issues. So it's
tough.
kind of hard, like, because I am feeling really good, but then there's this cloud that's sort of there. Yeah.
It's like a fight. Yeah, that's
a fight. Yeah.
Life is a wonder. It's a mystery sometimes, and it's
complicated.
Yeah. And I just want to share that I appreciate that you are, even through that, you're finding ways to feel good and things to keep you afloat, and that you're still following your passions and things that you want to do genuinely.
Yeah,
it's really awesome. So
yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to leave us off with, or any kind of like feelings or nothing?
I don't know. Something I remember is that all things pass. So like all emotions pass. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Share?
I'm Raina, and I am a high school student.
Nice.
In New York City. And yeah.
Do you do anything specific? You still trying to figure that out, or?
Just figuring it out. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Cool. How have you been feeling?
Recently. Okay. I think. Yeah. Now that school's out.
True.
Yeah. A little less stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot what that feels like. I haven't been to school. I'm 26.
Okay.
I haven't been to school in a very long time. I did like 3 semesters of college, and I was like, this is not this is not it for me. I guess do you have anything in, like, I guess when you think about school and what you do you have anything in mind in terms of what you want to do for the future?
I mean, I'm a music major at LaGuardia High School.
Nice.
And
that's sick.
Music is something that I've been doing for a while, and it would be cool to like pursue that.
Yeah.
But it's not really something that I'm like working towards.
Okay.
It's kind
Interesting.
of just, yeah.
What do you play?
I play clarinet, but
Play
also
clarinet, sick.
piano and guitar, which is like more of a hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
How long have you been doing that?
Clarinet for like most of my life, for like 10 years almost.
Are you come from like a musical family, or?
Yeah, my dad's
Okay.
a professional guitarist.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Cool. Like
Yeah.
I get to hear music all the time.
Mhm.
I'm surrounded by it constantly.
I'm
Yeah.
jealous.
Yeah, I think that's something that I take for granted,
Mhm.
but
I wish when I was growing up, I wasn't really surrounded by music. It was Christian music. I was raised Christian. But I really do wish I was in a more, I guess my family's slightly musical, but they didn't do it professionally. It was more
Right.
for the hobby. And I guess that gives you a different sense of what music is to people. But, I just love that that's the life that you lived. I guess this is a pretty broad, general question. Might be hard to answer, but I guess what is the feeling that music gives you when you're playing it or listening to it?
well, when it's like clarinet, which is something I do for school,
Yeah.
a lot of times I'll feel stressed about it because
That's fair.
there's something that I
Okay.
have to do and I don't want to have to do it. But when I'm playing piano or
Mhm.
guitar, I'm just
Mhm.
like learning songs that I want to and then
Yeah.
playing for whoever I want to play for, and
Yeah.
it's fun. It makes
That
me
is
happy.
that is cool.
Yeah.
I guess why when you're playing the clarinet, is it do you enjoy the instrument itself?
I did at
You did?
first, yeah.
That's fair.
And I sometimes do.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it kind of like gets to me a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, you've been playing it for a very long
Yeah.
time. Very long time.
Yeah.
And I don't know I guess I don't know the levels of clarinet.
Mhm.
Do you feel like I'm sure there's more to learn about everything, right? But do you ever feel curiosity towards the clarinet and like the
Oh,
way to play
yeah,
it and
for
like
sure.
things like that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just it's interesting how like you never really completely know everything about that instrument.
Yeah.
About any instrument really,
Mhm.
which is pretty cool because like at school we'll have people come and like teach us things, or I'll meet people who play the instrument and I
Yeah.
just learn something
Yeah.
new every time, which is that part of playing clarinet is
Mhm.
fun. But
It's really cool.
yeah.
Nice. To talk more about, I guess, the differences between the instruments that you play. When you play clarinet, and because you said that it kind of stresses you out a little bit.
Mhm.
What is that stress like? What does that actually feel like? I know that's also a weird question, but if you could put yourself in that, not actually, but like
Mhm.
if you could think about a moment that's passed,
Right.
how does it like manifest? Is it just mental? Does it translate physically as well?
It's mostly mental.
Okay.
It makes you want to like just quit
Mm.
and like run away. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just,
so
like,
that you get the urge to like just stop. Like
just
you
like
just
yeah,
don't want to
like
do
I
it.
just sometimes I want to like have never started it,
Mm.
which is kind of dramatic, but it's like
No, but that's not dramatic at all.
Yeah.
I definitely, I understand that. Yeah.
Do you play instruments?
I don't play any instruments. I kind of play. I learned one song on piano,
Mhm.
but I sing and I rap mostly. That's what I
very
do.
cool.
I have a musical theater background. So yeah, I mean, not that I wish, I could learn how to play an instrument, but I just never
Mm.
I never get to it. So
Right.
and so when you play guitar and piano, what is that feeling? Because you said it's much more like you get to do whatever you want, basically. Like it's more freeing. You can play for anybody, play anything you want.
Yeah.
I guess why is that enticing to you?
Well, most of the music that I listen to, like for fun,
Yeah.
is like usually has guitar or piano in it. So then, like I'll want to play the songs that I like,
Yeah.
and that's for fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's just like there's no like teachers or like grades going into it,
Yeah.
and I kind of I'm not really playing for anyone else. Just
Playing for yourself.
Yeah.
Nice. That's really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I think that's like the artists kind of that's one of their I guess downsides, but also it is a good thing. It's like when you have to play for other people or you have to play for a specific thing that's not
Right.
your like enjoyment, it starts to get like kind of annoying, I feel like, because it's a
the
laborious
pressure.
task. Like you have to
Right,
work.
right.
You're mentally active in that activity, and there's a lot of work going into it. So I get it. I understand why, it is that feeling.
Not that I'm good at these instruments. I really not. It's just like, I have instruments, so I use them. Yeah. It's
true. And I'm sure you're good. I'm sure you're just down playing.
No.
Well, you're also, you're young, so I feel like, you never know. But yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to mention about anything before we end it?
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. It's okay, cool.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being honest and open with us. And appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sweet. All right, welcome to the I Feel You podcast. This is Noam, correct? Yeah.
Correct.
And do you have any pronouns that you go by specifically?
He, him.
Cool. And then also, I guess if you want to give a brief description of who you are, maybe what you do, I guess whatever information you're willing to share.
Sure. Well, it's about the arts, right?
Yeah, it could be about anything really. There's no
Well, for work, I'm a video games journalist.
Oh snap! That's actually that's fucking sick, dude.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I also do film photography.
Yeah.
I have my camera here. I write songs. I play guitar.
So you got a lot going on, huh?
Kinda, yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. That's really cool. Video game journalist. How did you get into that? That's fucking sick.
Well, first of all, it sounds cooler than it is. At the end of the day, it's still a job.
It's just fair. It's fair. Yeah.
But yeah, I got into it when I was in undergrad. I did the unpaid internship for this place. And then when my term had finished, nobody told me to stop writing. So I was like, I guess I'll just keep doing this.
Yeah.
And then when I was graduating, they just hired a new managing editor, and he was like, yo, apply for the in-house internship. So I did that for a while, and then eventually that turned into a staff writing job.
Yeah.
And then I've just been there since.
Yeah, that's actually so cool.
Yeah.
I guess is that something that you always wanted to do, or it just kind of just happened into it?
I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I studied film undergrad and writing, and I thought I wanted to be a video editor, because I did that in high school, and I thought it was sick.
Yeah.
And it felt
fun,
it felt like a trade, but it was still kind of artistic. But I did some of that at school, and I was like, I don't know. And then I sort of got this by accident, because I'm really bad at applying for stuff, but my girlfriend at the time sent me it and was like, you have to apply.
Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah. We're homies.
That's good. That's good.
But so I mean, it's definitely a thing that I in some ways dreamt about,
Yeah, of course.
But
were you always into video games?
Yeah,
Nice.
From an early age, for sure.
Same.
Yeah.
What's your favorite game right now? This is an interview about you.
Sorry,
no, I'm kidding. I'll relate. Yeah.
My favorite game
right now, yeah.
Right now, I mean, it feels like kind of a cop-out because it's such a recent game, but Red Dead 2.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. That's not relatively recent. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, because I listen to music from
yeah.
the 70s and shit, so it's
Okay.
2 years ago. That's pretty recent.
True. In in the grand scheme, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I guess in video
Nice.
games generally things move a little more quickly.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, Red Dead, and then today I just finished this game, an indie game called Strange Horticulture, where you're
Interesting.
It's a sick game.
Yeah.
You're a horticulturalist, and in this world where all these plants have different magical properties and stuff, and you have to give the right plant to the right customer, and then there's this Lovecraftian horror subplot happening off screen. It's cool.
That actually sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's tight.
That sounds really dope.
Yeah.
Did you pick up that game because you're gonna write about it, or was it just a random game you picked up?
Nah, I was just looking for new stuff to play.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if it's related to the job or not, but I play a lot less video games nowadays than I did when I got the job. Spend a lot more of my time writing music and watching movies, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was like,
That's
I need
pretty
to play a
cool.
game. It's been too long.
I mean, yeah, for sure. Eventually you start to get that itch.
Yeah, exactly.
That itch is hard to ignore.
Yeah.
So, I guess what was the because you said you write more and you watch movies more.
Yeah.
I guess what do you when you go to watch a movie or listen to music, are you ever chasing a specific feeling or just kind of
for sure.
Yeah. What are you looking for usually?
One in movies that I think about a lot is, I feel like oftentimes in life things look really hopeless. If you like read the news.
Yeah.
And so any piece of art that like meaningfully engages with that feeling of hopelessness, but manages to at the end of things convince me that there is hope.
Yeah.
Like that's very special, and it's a very deep feeling, so that's a big one. And then there's also like just the feeling of being comforted, like not in a way that's like ignoring that things are bad, but
in the midst of those things.
Exactly, finding a little moment of peace.
Yeah. There's a movie that I watched last year, I think, that reminds me of that. It's a movie from, I think it's the 60s. And it's called Ace in the Hole.
I've seen that.
And you've seen that? Yeah. Because it's a story about a guy gets trapped under this debris in like a cave.
Yeah.
And then there's one reporter that gets to him and then starts to use him as kind of like a story. But in the midst, like that, it's the kind of meta, because in that universe, he's using this story as kind of like that allure where it's like the hopelessness behind it, the kind of like the craziness that is that situation, and the what it feels like. So
and
that
movie's bleak, man.
It's
that one
it's
is not like
that
one's not like things are gonna be okay. That's like some people just like are gonna exploit the fuck out of everything.
Yeah, even in your deepest darkest moments. I think it's an interesting commentary, especially nowadays. So that, I mean, do you chase that? And you don't have to get personal at all. You can make it, vague. You can also not answer the question at all. But I guess do you kind of look for those stories because sometimes you do feel that kind of hopelessness, I guess?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think, in some ways I admire people who can read the news and not feel that way.
Yeah.
But I can't,
That's very good.
Like, shit is so fucked up all the time.
Yeah.
It's like all we hear about. And I don't think it's like, it doesn't make sense to turn away from it for that reason, but it is overwhelming.
Yeah, it gets to be pretty intense.
So I definitely, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And then it's also like, everybody's dealing with their own mental health thing. I've dealt with my own stuff.
Yeah.
And so, it's like in most people, when they engage with art, they're looking to be like seen and recognized.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the feeling that I get,
What is it? And this is a bit of a weird question. What does it feel like genuinely to be seen or recognized? It's kind of a tricky one, but
it's hard to put words to. And in fact, I think that that's part of why it's so special. I was just talking to a friend about this recently, like, part of what makes film or music or photography moving is that it can express feelings that we can't articulate with language. It can surpass the limits of language in some ways, or at least like circumvent
I guess
them.
but more so that it's a different language that isn't
right.
like the
Exactly.
The verbal language, like the English language.
Yeah. So it's hard to articulate exactly how that feels.
I feel that, because I think I really think for art specifically, it's the beauty of that ambiguousness that kind of gives you the freedom to explore and to take what you need from it. And I think that oftentimes, like, that happens within feelings as well. It's kind of like sometimes it's not there's not like a specific thing, like it's not like, oh, my arm feels lighter. It's not like I don't sweat. It's very just like there's just a broad, like, overall just kind of feeling. And that's what within itself, that's what's like good. That's what makes it better, I guess. Life in general. So,
I mean, it's like I think a lot about like the search for meaning. You know.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that even mean? But
doesn't even.
But then it's like, I don't know, like, life feels a little bit more worth living when you're like finding art that you really connect with.
Yeah.
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 And that's
sure.
like what that
I agree.
is. Yeah.
There you go. Appreciate you, Noam. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I guess, is there anything that you wanted to share to end it off, or?
I'm chilling.
No, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no worries.
Welcome to the I Feel You podcast. Thank you so much for being here. You were just on the side while we were setting up, like playing soccer, just kind of throwing the ball, or volleyball, I guess. It was a mix of both, right? And thank you for like just seeing it and being curious about it. I appreciate curiosity. It means a lot. Tell them your name and who you are. I guess briefly, whatever information you want to share.
Yeah. My name is Elle. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm a high school student.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So you're a high school student. How old are you?
I'm 15.
15. Okay, cool. I remember when I was 15. Jeez, I'm 26 now, so it feels like forever ago.
My brother's like 26.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you do?
Well, my program in high school is computer science, so
Nice.
that's like my elective in school.
Okay.
And I also have I'm doing an internship in computer science this summer.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah.
Incredible. Congratulations on the internship.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Lately I have not been feeling that great.
Okay.
Well, I've been going to therapy for a long time,
Okay.
and I feel like it doesn't work. I haven't been feeling better,
Doesn't work for you?
so I don't know what to do.
Gotcha. That's totally fair. I will also say that I just started therapy recently. And it also hasn't been helping too much, so I kind of relate. Therapy does work, and if you feel like you should seek therapy, you definitely should. But it is definitely like it doesn't always solve everything. I guess, well, one, I sympathize. Thank you for sharing that. Honestly, it's refreshing to see someone be as honest as you've been just off the rip. Because usually what I was prepared to do, which you'll see me do with other people, I usually ask how you're feeling, and then people will kind of say, oh yeah, I'm good. And then my next question is going to be like, was that the truth? And I can feel that was the truth, so I appreciate you. And I guess, because I don't want to get too much into the details of your personal life, because we don't have to do that. But when you feel the things that you do, when you say that you don't feel great or you haven't been doing as well, what is the actual, like, what is the feeling, emotionally? Like, I guess try to describe that as best as you can.
Well, sometimes when I feel heartbroken, I literally feel like my chest hurt. And when I feel anxious, I literally feel like my throat closing in on me and I can't breathe anymore.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like when I have an anxiety attack or a panic attack, like I'm gonna die.
Yeah. So it's true physical feeling as well.
Yeah.
It's not just like your head. It's not. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel, I sympathize as well with the heartbreak, because it was, I remember one time it was like, I had a situation, and I just remember like curling up into a ball, going in a corner in a very dark room and shaking, actually physically shaking. And that was the first time I had a physical reaction to something happening to me, and it changed me forever. And I think it helped me grow as well, because I hadn't really felt anything physically in that capacity. How do you get past, like, what do you do to, so you deal with anxiety, when you feel your throat closing up, what are some things that you do to help you out with that?
Well, there's this thing that my therapist taught me, like a breathing technique where you like trace your hand, and then when you go up a finger you inhale, and then when you go down you exhale, and then you go throughout the hand. I like that.
That actually sounds really calming, like the sensation of that, it's a good feeling. I'm gonna actually do that, because sometimes life gets a little overwhelming. So I feel that. You said computer science.
Yeah.
What does computer science do for you? Like, what is that feeling?
Well,
is it like actually a passion, or is it kind of like I do this and I'm good at it kind of thing?
No, I really like it, because it's really like, it's like being stuck for a really long time and not having any idea what to do for hours, and then you finally get it, and that feeling is so great. Solving.
Nice. That's actually so great. I relate to that feeling as well. I'm a technical specialist at Apple, so I just so cool. I kind of like fix phones and stuff, and I kind of troubleshoot those kind of things. So that's the same feeling that I get. And I've built PCs before, and it's like you don't know what you're doing at all at first, and then you start to like you get used to it. You start to learn a little more, and then you feel more comfortable, and you solve the problem, and that's a really satisfying experience. So, when you what is more important to you when you are doing computer science? Is it kind of the solution, or is it I guess the way that you get there?
I guess both.
Okay.
Like, what do you mean by that question?
So, I guess what's more important to you in terms of the feeling? Because I'm trying to focus it around that. Like, what feels more gratifying? Is it the actual things that you do to get there, or is it kind of like the end point, the resolution?
Probably the end, because like it's like you have to do a bunch of steps in order to like get the final product, and like you're kind of going into it blind, because like you kind of just have to write everything and then see if it works. So like the end is kind of like, oh my god, I finally did it.
Now, just to end it off, so we can be, short and concise. You have computer science, and then you have like your personal things that you deal with on the daily. Have you ever tried to use the lens that you use in computer science and kind of like almost like treat yourself like code or like a program that you need to not in the like desensitized sense where it's just like a code. It's like literally like look at your problems. Almost, well, I don't know if you write them down, but like write them down and then problem solve to try to get past those things. Have you ever tried to like use that lens for your like personal life as well?
I haven't. That's interesting, because when you have like an error in your code, you have to like go through every solution to see what works. So
You have to try things.
yeah, that's a good way to fix problems, personal problems.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not. I honestly, the only reason I thought that is because you presented such a beautiful dichotomy. I feel like when it's like you presented it as like you're trying to figure things out, like you're going to therapy, it's not quite working, but you're still trying things. And then you talk about your computer science, which I'm glad that at first when I asked what do you do, I felt kind of weird, because I was like, I'm used to asking like people my age what they're doing, because usually they have an idea, I guess. But the fact that you were just like, I do this, I'm like, I'm proud of you for that. Thank you for sharing that. But yeah, it was so interesting. So I would say like thank you for sharing and being willing to do that, and I learned from just this small interaction.
Thank you.
And it was a beautiful thing. Is there anything you want to tell the audience before you go off, or
No,
before
it's
anything?
okay.
No, you sure?
I'm sure.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Elle, for being
Thank you.
here. Welcome to the podcast. Appreciate you
appreciate
being
that,
here.
bro.
Yeah, thank you for being willing to sit down in this on this beautiful day, and I guess let them know who you are, what you do, or if any details you want to share, just kind of anything.
Basically, I'm just a college student trying to maneuver, trying to find my way within life. I'm basically just trying to have fun while I'm living.
Yeah, let them know your name as well.
My name is Angel, for
Angel.
those wondering. Angel.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here, Angel. What do you do in college?
Right now, the plan is majoring in finance.
Nice.
So,
Okay.
And then within that, I'm trying to get my real estate license, so I could know how to like brag with owning properties.
Yeah.
And just know the different tricks,
Nice. There you go. That's sick. What led you to finance?
Just a thought of being financially stable, Just that. Yeah.
I feel that, man. Do you feel good about your financial literacy? Like, do you feel like you know what's up in terms of finances?
I'm definitely trying to get there.
Yeah.
I know somewhat the tricks.
Yeah.
But everything takes practice.
So I will say that I'm 26 and I'm still like partially financially illiterate, so I don't know. I'm still kind of figuring it out myself. But I appreciate anybody who's like willing to learn and do that. I guess, like, did you grow up in a family that was financially stable or financially literate, and that kind of influenced you a little bit, or was it kind of like here and there?
Honestly, I would just have to say my aunt. Like she became an accountant.
Yeah.
First, she had a internship at Ernest & Young downtown, and basically that led her to grow her own business.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's amazing.
Kind of motivated me a little bit because
Mm-hmm.
things are always going to be a little bit more challenging for women.
For sure.
So,
Oh, that's definitely true.
yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations to your aunt. Shout out.
Appreciate that. Man.
How have you been feeling recently?
We all have our dark days.
Yeah.
I would lie to you if we say we don't. Everything's great, but I feel like
Yeah.
it's all about the poker face you put on. Honestly,
for sure.
You always have to walk with your chest out. Honestly, male or female, it don't matter. You just have to be confident in yourself and remember you only live this life once.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna try to be corny, say make it count, but honestly, just be happy with it.
Yeah.
You can't change it.
For sure. I feel like sometimes, walking, like when you go around and you live life like being confident all the time, that's kind of exhausting, right? It's a little bit.
Of course. For everybody. Sometimes you don't even feel it.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it's an act within itself.
Yeah.
If you don't have the, yeah, it's an act.
For sure. Do you have a group of friends that support you?
There's a lot of people I'm cool with. A lot of people I give advice to. But with me growing up, getting older, I realized life isn't all about friends, but more of like the connections you build. So you don't really need to rely on nobody in life, but it would be good to always pick up certain lessons from different people.
Yeah. So, and like, I guess support in some ways, like
Exactly.
how it's important for people to to push you forward in your dreams and give you, and the way that you think, it seems like that you think more in terms of like the information that they could give you, like something to learn from them. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always like something you can learn from any individual that you meet, and that's nice. Have you ever felt like you like, do you have like day ones, like people that you're like,
Of course.
like this with?
Yeah, all the time. I don't really even I don't call them my friends. I call them my brothers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
That's important because what I was gonna say is that like a lot of times, especially in finance in that world, it's really aggressive. You got to be, like you said, you got to be confident. You got to know what you want. You have to be intelligent in the moves that you make. I feel like sometimes you just want to lay back and not really think about all that, and you just want to meet people just to meet people, not for any kind of any motives, just just to have good vibes,
Yeah, definitely. Of course.
Yeah.
I feel that, honestly. Because it only matters about the energy you put in something.
Yeah.
Honestly.
For sure. What's your big dream or your big goal for the future?
Me, when I was a little younger, this is a lot of people's dream. I wanted to make it to the A, you know what I mean? 'Cause
Okay.
honestly, I'm really confident in the way I play basketball.
Nice.
I have a different play style.
Yeah.
But besides that, that's something I grew up loving. You know what I mean?
Same.
So,
Yeah. I grew up loving it, and then I played in high school, and I was like, this is not, I'm just not, it wasn't for me, which was heartbreaking because, even today, I love playing. That's one of my favorite things to do, and watching is, that's, one of my pastimes, and I wish I had the opportunity to, fully, immerse myself in that. But yeah, that's cool. Do you have any how has it changed now? What are you really thinking about for the future now?
So the bigger picture and stuff, honestly, I just want to be happy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to live my life the proper way.
Yeah.
I know that might sound a little vague, but
I hear you.
if you sense a bad feeling with something, it might not be the right way.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a little tricky because sometimes when you have that weird gut feeling, it might be the right move too.
True.
So,
Yeah. I feel that. You excited for your future?
I feel like everybody should. You don't know what it could hold. Your life could change in even 2 months.
Yeah.
I feel like if you do the right moves.
Yeah, I always say that 10 years from now. My friends are always like, yo, you want to do this? And I'm like, nah, I don't really feel like skydiving or eating a certain food. And they're like, nah. I'm always like, nah. But I always say that in 10 years, I could be a completely different person. And I'll be doing all that. You know what I'm saying? I'll be doing all that and more. You never know. Life could change. You could change as a person on a dime, And I feel like every 10 years, that's the increment where you look 10 years back and you're a completely different person. everything you think about, everything you do with your life is just completely different. Are you like an adventurous person? Like, do you feel like you want to do all that stuff and more, or you kind of like,
Nah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I like learning new things every day. I like going to different places. Even if I have to go by myself, I don't mind. I just, honestly, I like doing new things.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Are you usually to yourself?
I try to be.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I feel like when things get rough, I let too much people win sometimes, but honestly,
It's true.
I feel like it's better to stay by yourself. Not like honestly just be isolated from it, but like your feelings, always keep them to yourself.
Yeah.
Cause
Interesting.
what makes you like grow, honestly, I feel like with different things in your life is how you react when you're angry.
Okay. I feel that. I would thank you for sharing, by the way, because like the you remind me a lot of myself and also my dad, because it's like you have like a reserved energy about yourself, but you're open, you're open to sharing and open to receiving and also giving. So I appreciate that about you, and thank you for being the other side of the spectrum, because I meet a lot of people who are like energy, I just want to give, I want to love, and I want to like do all that, but sometimes there is value in kind of like keeping some of that for yourself and also being preserved, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that energy. So thank you for that. Is there anything else you wanted to end off with, like any comments you want to give to the audience or things you want to say, or
everything you do, be confident in doing. So never half-ass nothing, just do it.
Preach. There you go, man.
Man, appreciate it, bro.
I'm sitting here with Caroline, who we just met in the park, and I guess give us a brief description of who you are, maybe any details you want to share about what you do, or like just any generally.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my name is Caroline. I'm actually just visiting here. I just got here this morning.
Oh, no way. That's so cool.
I live in California, but I come to New York kind of often. I have a couple of really close friends here. And earlier in the year, I work at a school. I work at a Montessori school, and I was chaperoning like a trip for some 7th and 8th graders. So I work in education in the Bay Area. And I'm here just really on vacation, but something intense happened today, which is one of my close friends who's here got laid off from work. And so my whole day kind of telescoped into like a smaller
narrow it out a little bit.
thing. Yeah. I'm just feeling for her a lot right now.
Interesting.
So,
okay. Wow. Well,
that's like kind of the top layer of like my affect
for sure.
right now.
Yeah. No, I appreciate your honesty and just opening up about that. That really does mean a lot. It's so difficult, especially in this city. They live here. In this city, it's so just unforgiving. And I wish the best for your friend. You said you're from California, or where specifically in California?
The Bay Area.
Bay Area, nice. I just went to San Francisco.
Oh, you did?
Recently for the first time. I had never been on the West Coast.
Oh, what did you think?
It was beautiful. I loved it. It was great. It's a completely different energy. And I'm not well traveled, so that was really wild. It was like I had it was my first instance of like culture shock in a way. It was just like I felt awkward in there. But it was a beautiful city. I went to go see a Golden State game, which is like so fun.
If that was a recent game, then it must have been a lot of energy.
Oh, it was awesome. It was like
during the playoffs?
No, not during the playoffs.
Okay.
It was just before. But it was like at the height of their like when they were playing like really well. So super exciting to see.
Congrats! Yeah, you got to see something special.
Thanks. Oh my gosh. So you said that you're here visiting. How often do you visit New York?
It used to be at least once a year. This year I'm going to be here 3 times though, which is strange.
Wow.
Like once for work, once for this, and this trip, which is centered around another friend's party kind of. And then again in September for a friend's wedding. And I was just talking to Christine about the energy difference between here and the Bay Area, because it's really strong. And even though I'm from there, my whole family lives there, my whole life is very centered there. The moment I come here, I do feel like this is the actual energy that I would like to be in. You just transport all of that over there, or like bring all my family and friends over here. Yeah, because it really, when I lived here, which was 12 years ago now, I really enjoyed myself. But at that time, I moved with a boyfriend.
Yeah.
You do when you're 23. And the bonds that I had with other people were there, but they weren't that strong, and I missed my friends at home so badly that I couldn't stay here
You
because
just found your way back.
I needed to be with the people that I cared about.
Yeah.
And I found that
Yeah.
even though place really matters to me, I think relationships are clearly the most important thing for me.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why it's because if it didn't matter, you would just get up and move. You would just get up and leave. What is that? So when you're away from people that you really want to be with, what is that feeling like? It's a weird question. But,
No, it's not. It's not. I work in education, so everything's feelings.
Nice.
Everything's emotional.
Cool. That's so great.
What does it feel like? It feels like sometimes it feels like distraction. Like I'm walking through an area, and this was happening earlier. I'm walking through a city that I really enjoy. Like I like to have interactions like this, where I talk to someone
just
who I would
people who you walk by.
I would just walk by and maybe never speak to otherwise.
Exactly.
But in this city, I find that people want to connect.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking out for that. But today, I noticed I was just kind of like zoning out, like time traveling, to the future or the past.
Yeah.
Thinking about people, thinking about my friend who I just mentioned.
Of course.
And so sometimes it feels like distraction. Like there's a lot of living in the head, living in the future, living in the past. And it doesn't prevent me from enjoying myself, but I do notice that I like long for the company of people who I wish could have the experience of being here with me. Yeah.
And that's beautiful. I'm glad you mentioned that it doesn't prevent you from enjoying yourself, because I feel like there are different types of people, and specifically me. If I was feeling that way, it would inhibit me greatly. Like it would make things much harder to enjoy, because I already have a problem with like being present in the moment.
Is that because you're in your head kind of thinking about things?
Yeah, exactly. So when I'm in my head, I'm like super in my head. It's like it's something I'm working on, trying to manage. And it's something that's always been a part of me. I've always been that way. So I've always been more reserved. Now I'm trying to be a little more forward. I mean, I'm hosting a podcast, so it's like it helps a lot to have conversation. Another thing, you said that you work for Montessori currently. So funny enough, I went to a Montessori from like kindergarten to like 4th grade, I think it was.
That's a longer time than a lot of people go.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So it was very brief. The school wasn't great only because they had people that were doing weird things behind the scenes, like the staff, the teachers. It wasn't like a well-established Montessori. It was kind of like a random one.
Okay, yeah, like maybe they weren't totally legitimate.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of
there was, I think the principal got in trouble for like stealing money.
Oh,
besides
okay,
the point.
Yeah, no, that stuff happens.
So now, like when I'm in my older age, I don't speak too much about Montessori, but when I do, it's from a place of ignorance almost, because I kind of jaded for that experience because I didn't learn much in Montessori.
Interesting.
So I guess, would you mind just giving me a brief description of what a Montessori even is? Like,
okay,
it doesn't have to be too detailed, but
elevator speech. So they're where to start?
Yeah.
So Montessori education to me is about, and it's tragic to me to hear that was your experience. I mean, any school can do anything. Any group of people can pervert any idea. It's unfortunate.
Sure. I mean, public school wasn't that great either. So.
Totally. But what's sad is that Montessori can be so cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not like a 300% like sworn into the cult person. I feel like I can like step away from it and see
you have a healthy
what
relationship
with what it can't do.
Yeah.
But what I think it does do really well is it gives children a lot of choice. Not like one misconception is that kids can do whatever they want. They can't. There's like the structure that exists, but they can choose a lot, and they can manage themselves in it. And there's a lot of emphasis, at least in the Montessori education that I'm a part of, on conflict resolution with each other. So the classrooms are like, I mean, kids are still going to fight about stuff,
of course,
but they do it pretty peacefully, and they really do care about each other's feelings.
Yeah.
So peace education is like the main thing.
Yes.
Actually, that's what Montessori was designed for, because after World War I, Maria Montessori was like, this has got to end, people. Like, we have got to do something about this. And so she designed this curriculum where children would be given respect and treated as like brilliant autonomous individuals, not made to sit in desks and told what to do, but asked to explore things, kind of like keep their curiosity intact so that learning didn't become about something you had to do but something they wanted to do. So there are always options. Like if you're a kid and you're like, man, I love lizards, which is a lot of kids. When you're studying lizards, there'll be these works that you can choose to do that let you kind of like go down this path of deep lizard learning. And there was a study that was published recently. I swear this is true. I read the study.
No, I believe you.
That said that Montessori education, because it lets you go deep into a subject instead of just doing like a surface grazing,
level, yeah.
It creates different semantic pathways. Like you can, kids who go through Montessori education, maybe this is in you somewhere, you never know, but they can make connections from more disparate ideas more easily. Maybe this is why you have this podcast.
Funny enough, I do feel like I do that.
I'm not saying Montessori can take credit for that. I'm just saying that that's something that they did a neurological study on recently, and there was some actual evidence that showed that they would make categorical comparisons from farther away
just
and be
so
able
useful.
to relate them faster.
Yeah, so useful and so needed. I feel like that's such an odd, and sometimes it feels a little useless. Sometimes, like in the way that I see it, like when I do that, it's usually from I associate with something that I've learned in the past, but it's in a completely weird it's like an opposite scenario. It's like I don't need this right now, kind of thing. But it helps me with my perspective. I feel like it gives me a different viewpoint, and it's a different lens, basically.
So and I think that is really important because one of the ways that Montessori imagined peace education working is that a person with strong critical faculties and a sense of self is less easily influenced by people who would like to create a destructive ideology. And so if you are in your own mind and you're like, oh, I'm making my own associations here, like I'm deciding what I think about this situation or whatever, you're just less prone to demagogues and stuff.
There's less incubation within communities and kind of,
like you're just more likely to think through an idea yourself rather than jump on a bandwagon because someone else told you to.
Which is
that's
beautiful.
Like really, it sounds really general or almost like duh, but it's really important.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I honestly had I briefly heard that it was like, oh yeah, they teach in a different way. That's like basically the most that I've heard.
They do.
And I relate, from what I've heard, I heard that complaint too, where it's like, oh, it's too free and it's like too, but I think it depends, which is why I feel like, I thank you so much. I appreciate you for doing this, because it takes a very, as an educator in that realm, it's a very specific person, and it has to be like, in that freedom, there's a lot of responsibility. And as an educator, you have to, like there's a lot to navigate there. And I just appreciate that so much. And I wish I see this trend happening a little more often. Cause I also work, my parents own a private school.
Oh, okay.
And I worked a little bit there with children. It was like 3rd to 5th grade.
Oh, okay.
And I wish after that experience, I'm like, I wish that there was more appreciation. And I'm sure you hear this all the time. There needs to be so much more appreciation for our educators, because it is so desperately needed. And it's leading us down really dark paths if we're not focused on that. Like in the same way that, and not to get a little too much about the broad, but like during the pandemic, we really focused on the healthcare workers and like appreciating them and making sure that they're like, we stopped the world basically to help them and to make it less stressful for them. I feel like there needs to be kind of like a pause in the education system, be like, yo, we need to figure this out. I don't know what we got to do. But
every child goes through some form of education, more or less, and that will determine the next generation's whole sort of like set of values and how they operate in the world and everything. I completely agree. What kind of education, or is there like a certain like philosophy to the teaching style at your parents' school?
So it's they work through it's a curriculum where they work through books like these, they called paces or pacers, I think, I forgot what it's called, but it's just booklets that they have individually for each subject, and the teacher is called a supervisor, and they basically supervise the child's learning and then the retention of the material that they're learning. So it's a little more for the supervisor. I worked as a supervisor for a little bit. I was trained in that. It's a little more hands off in terms of like having to know all of the things, because the booklet kind of shares the knowledge, but it's more about having that child retain that information and doing
Right.
testing after each booklet and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, is it like more self-directed for the kid, like that kind of a thing, a little bit, or not
yeah,
really?
in a way, yeah,
Okay,
in a way
cool.
it is, because it's solely up to them. If they don't pass a book,
Right.
we can't do anything about
Right,
it. Like
yeah.
if they don't like a book, they just don't like the book. So
Yeah, what are you gonna
it's
do?
a little more self-directed. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I guess I appreciate you sharing that with
Yeah.
us. Honestly, it's a beautiful thing. How does education make you feel? Like, how does being able to teach the next generation, how does it make you feel?
To be perfectly honest, at this point, I work in an admin capacity. I have
Nice.
taught. I
Okay,
actually,
great.
when I lived in New York City, I taught health through a nonprofit in Murray Bergstrom High School in
Beautiful, yeah.
downtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
For a couple of years, and that was a trip because I had never been in a school that big.
It's huge, right?
And it was really interesting.
Yeah.
But education, I think the thing about education that makes it hard and exhausting, like you said, like we need to pause and really reevaluate
Figure
what's
it
going
out.
on, is because education is like I said, it's like a very emotional place to work.
Yes.
Children are emotional, teachers are emotional, parents are very emotional. And
Seen it so much.
Yeah, and I think that on the one hand, it can be a very exhausting place to work because of all of that. And I'm sort of like at my school, I'm sort of like the emotional, like lightning rod person.
Yeah.
But it's really hard for me to imagine feeling fulfilled in another vocation. Like working with kids always feels redeeming, no matter what. Supporting teachers who are working with kids always feels redeeming.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure there would be other jobs that I would be happy in, but it's hard for me to imagine it at this time and feel fulfilled. Like, I also get to work with like one of my best friends on earth in that sort of like
Capacity.
administrative capacity, and he taught at the school for a while, and we're both like big readers, love books. He left the school to open a bookstore or to run a bookstore with his friend, and I was kind of envious and also sad that he left. And then he ended up coming back to the school because the level of fulfillment, even in this realm that he like felt really passionate about, was not the same.
Wow.
So, because there's it's that emotional element. You kind of get addicted to it because it feels meaningful. Yeah.
It feels bigger than you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's something that everybody kind of strives for, even without knowing it. I remember when I was, and just briefly, I'm an actor, so I went to different high schools and middle schools with an anti-bullying tour, basically is what it was.
Oh, interesting.
So you would kind of have a play about bullying and how to combat that. And I just remember being a part of it for that small amount of time and speaking to children and understanding what it was that we were doing there, and understanding that it was so much bigger than me. And that feeling, I kind of got addicted to that feeling. It's that thing where it's like I feel like this is so important, and it's so much more important than I am. Makes me feel happy that I'm a part of it. Or that I get the privilege to be a part of it. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a really nice way of putting it.
Thank you so much again for sharing, for being
Yeah.
open, and also for doing what you do.
Oh yeah, I mean, truly my pleasure in the end. Yeah.
I appreciate it immensely because, like I said, my history of education isn't the best.
It's a little up and down, maybe.
It's super up and down. So now when I think about it and then when I see it, it's really exciting to see new ways and to see progress as well. So I appreciate that immensely.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to leave us off with? Not
really.
tidbits?
Just coming from California, where we just don't have water anymore. We don't have it. It's really nice to be in a place that's green.
Yeah.
And I'm not thinking about things lighting on fire. You guys have lots of water. It's great. I can wash my dishes and not feel bad.
It's so much.
You're in New York.
It's just tap water. Yes.
Yeah.
So
rain. I don't know.
we need to appreciate that.
Yeah.
We need to definitely appreciate that. So thank you so much again.
Yeah, thanks. It was really nice to meet you.
Caroline.
Thanks
nice
for
to
having
meet
me
you too,
on your
Caroline.
show.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.